Hello everybody, welcome to another video by Liminal Spaces. So today we have a special video for you because we went to the 40th annual Rocky Mountain Book and Paper Fair in Castle Rock. And we had a ton of fun. We did not buy a lot.
No, but you'll be surprised by what we did get.
Yeah.
So stick around at the end. We'll show off what we got.
Yeah, but we did have a ton of fun. It was kind of a big deal. There was a lot of people there. Yeah. It was crowded. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a good amount of sci-fi, and all of it was really rare stuff. These dealers have to travel, of course, to get to Colorado to be in this fair. So what they bring is incredibly important. So
and that was very surprising to me because I was thinking I might pick up a book or two, but looking at these books and they're like $2,000 a piece, and it's intense. There's some amazing vendors out there.
Yeah, we're going to show you a lot of cool stuff that was just really interesting to see. It felt halfway like a museum visit.
Yeah,
we were just seeing stuff that you never see, that I've never seen, that it was really cool to see in person. We're just we took a lot of video, so we're gonna go through and I think there was two major vendors that that were doing sci-fi that we spoke with, and we're gonna introduce them and then go through just the videos of what they had and show you guys what was there. I think you'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, and both the vendors were amazing. Don't just, if you're thinking about just checking out a shop, don't just jump to the first one. Check them both out because they both had incredible different stuff.
Yeah. So when we very first walked in, the first booth that I saw and the first thing that I saw was this copy of Psycho. And then I noticed next to it that they have Starship Troopers and a lot of other Heinleins. These are all first editions. A really wonderful copy of Ray Bradbury's The Golden Apples of the Sun. And then you can see the Dark Carnival. I think that's a special edition that you found at one point, right, Jason?
Yeah, I talked about that in one of the Dark Carnival videos.
Yeah.
It's a newer release.
Yeah. Really very cool. So that was the first booth. Right when we walked in, we saw those, and they were absolutely beautiful. They were all behind glass, of course, so I didn't touch any of them or anything like that, but they were very cool to see. Right around the corner from that was the Rare Book Sleuth. His name is Kevin D. Sell, and I'm going to put up his Instagram. Well, I can just tell you, and I'll put it down there as well, but Rare Book Sleuth is his Instagram handle, and rarebooksleuth.com, all one word, is his website. And he, of course, deals in really rare and hard to find antiquarian books, and he was incredibly nice. We really enjoyed talking to him, and he was nice enough to show us some of what he had, including this first edition copy of Carrie that was signed. I've never actually held or seen a first edition of Carrie, so that was really neat to see.
And Carrie's so early.
It's his first.
Yeah, so that's why it's so rare, probably, right?
Yeah, it's really, and then to find it signed is really incredible. And of course it was, I don't know if they call it inscribed, but yeah, it wasn't just signed. It's worth the pinnacle of book collecting is to have a really good first edition that's signed but not inscribed to somebody.
Right.
Yeah. So this one was inscribed to somebody, but it was beautiful to see. It was incredible.
And it's got the date on it. Is that true?
Yep. Yeah, August 22nd, 1980.
Nice.
So how many? So we went there on the 17th. So it was almost. So tomorrow, how old will that signature be?
Well, it's from 80, so I guess it's got to be 44 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. And the book itself, I think, was 74 or 75.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. So that was cool. We've been talking about Stephen King a lot this week, so it was neat to see Carrie. I really enjoyed that. He also had an incredible first edition collection of the entire Book of the New Sun, which he was asking $1,000 for. I don't know if they were signed, but they were really, really beautiful. Wonderful to see those. I mean, he also just had random first editions laying all over the place. There you see some Bradburys. There's Crash by Ballard, which is absolutely incredible. All of these books were hundreds and hundreds, most of them over 1,000. And it was just really neat to see them. He brought out an interesting thing to show us, which is this January 1937 copy of Weird Tales. And this one's interesting because, and he knew how YouTube channels work, so he's like, you got to talk about this. He was super excited for us to bring this up, which is really, really cool. So this has a story in it called Disinterment, which was written, it says in the magazine, by Lovecraft and Dwayne W. Rimmel is who is claimed to be a writer, and he's most famous for being close friends with Lovecraft. And apparently there's a bit of controversy around whether this story was written by Rimmel. Rimmel claims that Lovecraft did a little bit of grammar check for him on the story, but most of it was his. But a lot of people actually believe that it was really Lovecraft that wrote this and put Rimmel's name on it. Or Rimmel claimed it. I don't have any idea. It's something that could be made into an entire video, and I'll probably do that, but I need to read the story. I really like Lovecraft when he is working with other people. That's a lot of fun for me. We, of course, did the In the Walls of Eric's, which is another collaboration story he did that was absolutely wonderful. So I think I'm going to look at this one in the future and see if I can't really dive down into this controversy and see exactly what this was all about. But I really enjoyed seeing that specific magazine that the story was first published in with Lovecraft's name and what's his name again? Dwayne W. Rimmel's name on it. So that was really fun to see. Overall, a really nice dealer. Really enjoyed looking through his stuff. He was very kind to us, showed us neat things. Check out his Instagram or go to his page and see if there's anything on there that you might enjoy. So this booth had the most incredible collection of Arthur Rackham special editions that I've ever seen. This was just, these are beautiful. They really blew my mind. And they're all signed by Arthur Rackham. Of course, these were very expensive, but I was just blown away with how incredible they were. Here you can see inside one, including the Arthur Rackham signature. The pictures weren't tipped in, but they were kind of glued in. So they were on these kind of special cards. They were really interesting. But yeah, that was incredible. And that was just in a random booth there in the show that we walked through. They weren't specifically into anything. They just had this incredible Arthur Rackham collection that really blew my mind. Of course, Arthur Rackham's an illustrator of children's stories and did a lot of the fairy tales that we grew up on. So I'm sure you'd recognize his pictures if you saw him. Another random booth. Here's a first edition of The Shining, like the one I have. And here is a first edition of Clockwork Orange. I thought that was cool. And I don't know if that's a first English edition, first American edition. We didn't open it up or really ask about it. But it is definitely a first from somewhere. There's a first edition of The Stand. Logan's Run. I really thought that was cool. Lord of the Flies and Logan's Run hardback. So the next guy that we ran into, his business is called The Book Bin. And his name is Obadiah Baird, and he is from Oregon. I think they have a store in Oregon and Salem, and he had... Oh, this is where we spent most of our time. This collection
was huge.
Yeah.
There was this crazy part where he had a bunch of Doctor Who scripts that he'd gotten hold of. And apparently they were actually from the productions.
Yeah, production scripts.
Yeah, meaning that the actors held them, they looked at them, they memorized their lines. They were actual used scripts. And They were signed by most of the cast and crew and the writers.
It was incredible. So many
This
signatures.
whole rack, they were like $2,000 each.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of the... I was first taken by the rack of Weird Tales,
Yeah.
which I thought was really incredible. And you can see it here. Look at all these original Weird Tales and early sci-fi magazines. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, this is where most of our time was spent. And where I spent most of my money. One thing that he was very excited to show us was this first edition copy of The Fall of the House of Usher. This first edition copy of The Fall of the House of Usher was published in Burton's Gentleman's Magazine, where Poe was working at the time. So he'd sometimes put his stuff in there. And Jason just made a good point. It's in book form. Of course, a lot of people would bind these old magazines into books. And in the early 1800s, all the way through to probably the turn of the century, most people had a binder that they would go to. Like, for instance, when Charles Dickens would sell books, he'd sell them a chapter at a time, and you'd buy each chapter. And then when the book was done, you'd go to your binder, and he'd bind them. So, yeah, this magazine that you see here, I'll put it up again, is the bound version of probably quite a few different copies, different issues of the magazine are here in this. Really incredible thing to see. Here you can see a first UK edition of iRobot, a first English edition of Solaris, and Ted Chiang's Story of Your Life, which of course became the movie Arrival. He had a first edition of that, which was really neat. These are letters from Philip K. Dick to a woman named Sandra, and the guy told us the story.
Yeah, he said basically that Philip K. Dick was interested in this woman. They never actually dated because Philip K. Dick just broke it off. But then he started sending her all of these really intense love letters about how he couldn't live without her and all this kind of stuff.
And there was a stack of them.
Yeah, and he said it's really kind of strange because he's the one that broke it off.
Right.
You know, I mean, he was just a strange guy.
He was an interesting guy.
Yeah.
They also had a Daw manuscript, Voyager in the Night by C.J. Cherry. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but yeah, this is the original manuscript that she sent to Daw. Very, very cool. So all these George Orwells you see here are all first edition, first prints. That's the first time they ever came out. Absolutely incredible. It was just wonderful to see those. Oh, and then this Titus Groan you see in the trilogy here. Those are all first edition, first states, and apparently that Titus Groan dust jacket is a first state, which is very, very difficult to get because they didn't print very many with that first edition dust jacket. Really incredible.
Yeah, they printed their first edition run, and then they didn't make as many jackets as they did books. So they literally ran out of the jacket before they ran out of the books. So they just started using, I guess, the second.
Yeah, I don't even know. Or was there something wrong with the first edition? Was there a misprint on it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why they stopped using the first, but yeah, it was they jumped. They still were first edition, first prints of the book, but they had the second state dust jacket on it, so they probably corrected something.
Yeah.
Which would allow us to tell that it was a second state, because you often can't tell. It's very rare. The dust jacket is the dust jacket. All the first edition, first print markings are usually in the book, and then the dust jacket, I mean, the only thing that really will change is the price as it goes through time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that guy was absolutely cool. His website is salem@bookbin.com. Oh, that's his email. salem@bookbin.com. And his Instagram tag is bookbin_rarebooks. So look him up there. They were very, very nice. Some of the most amazing collections I've ever seen. And man, did we have a good time. All right. Let's look at what we got. We'll start with the funny story of this one.
So we were getting ready to go, and Dana couldn't go with us, which was kind of sad. And she said, if you guys find any Solomon Rushdie, I want you to grab it for me. And actually, what I'd really like is if you find a really cheap Solomon Rushdie with his signature in it. And we were like...
I was like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on that.
Yeah.
That's impossible, but we'll do our best.
Yeah, so we were there and we were looking around and we came across this book, and it in fact does have his signature in it.
Yeah,
and
look at this. We're going to lose Dana's place.
That's okay.
I'm going to put this in it. Thank you, Bookbin, for continuing to help. Look at how this... I don't even know.
You're not going to be able to...
I was trying to read that, and I called Jason over, and I was like... Because at first I was like, oh, 1,350. And then I was like, oh, maybe 350. And then the more I looked at it, the more it looked like it was $35. What's the cover price on that? It should be in the front flap there. $28. So his signature added $7 to the cover price, apparently. I don't know why this was so cheap.
Yeah. I walked up and asked him, and I said, how much is this? And she said, $35. And I was like... I'll take it.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just insane.
I mean, I had told Dana that there was no way we were coming back with that. And she was like, well, then get me a journal.
Right.
And then we got there and we found that. It was absolutely incredible. And that guy, that dealer, I'm sorry, I don't know his name. I didn't collect his card. I see him all the time in Albuquerque. Next time in March when they do the Antiquarian Fair in Albuquerque, I'll chat with him and let him know that we bought the the book from him, and he has a first edition signed copy of Lanark by Alistair Gray that I eyeball every time. I love that book. So incredible. He wrote the novel that the recent movie Poor Things is based on, one of his books. And Lanark was his first, and it's incredible. I'll do it someday on this channel, but it is such a big undertaking to reread that it'll have to be later. But I found two really interesting books. And the first one was the craziest steal of the show. It was kind of crazy because in Albuquerque there are a lot of sci-fi dealers that deal in tons of paperbacks. So they'll be like $4 to $15 a piece for these paperbacks, depending on their rarity. This didn't have that. This was like, if we have a sci-fi book, it's a first edition and it's $1,200.
Yeah.
So it was more difficult to buy at this fair than it was at the Albuquerque one. And I was like, man, where's all the paperbacks and stuff? But then I realized these people had to travel from all over the world to bring these books. So yeah, of course they would bring the ones that were going to make them the most money if they sold. But this one, there was just two ladies. One was from Colorado Springs and the other was from Las Vegas, and they, I think, had a local bookstore, or they had an online. I don't remember. We didn't really talk to them about how to get a hold of them, but they had, I believe this is called a cartouche cover. I'm not sure, but this is probably one of the most beautiful books I've ever seen. But I'm very picky about not just wanting to buy a book if it's good looking, if I don't care about the contents of it, because that'll just completely take up all of my shelf space. But this is a copy of Undine, which is a fable or a fairy tale by, I'm not going to be able to say this, De la Motte Fouque. Pardon my French. Literally. It's got a little bit of coloring. Kid went to town on it right there. But it was $12, which is absolutely insane. Undine is the story of a water nymph getting a human soul by falling in love with and marrying a human. And it was the inspiration for The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen. And it's just a wonderful old fairy tale. I really love it. And this one also has illustrations in it that are really cool. You're not going to be able to see them, so I will take pictures and put a couple of these up as well. And I keep throwing the idea back and forth. So most of my research is in fairy folk tales and myths. So I keep throwing around the idea of starting to talk about those kind of things on this channel as well, or whether we should start a new channel to do it. But this is something I do hope to cover in the future in some way or form. We will see. And then the next thing I did get from the sci-fi guy from Oregon that we were talking about, and it was there. He put everything in alphabetical order, and in the middle of that was a big collection of Lord Dunsany. Lord Dunsany, of course, was a fantasy writer. I think he was a little bit before J.R.R. Tolkien and really influenced him. It's somebody that I've wanted to get into for a while. I think it's called The King of Elfland's Daughter is a book that I have from the Ballantine adult fantasy collection, but this is the first American edition copy of The Gods of Pegana, I believe it's pronounced. And it is absolutely outstanding. The best part about it is that Pegana, I think is how it's pronounced. The Gods of Pegana. But it is illustrated by S.H. Simi or S.H. Syme. I'm not sure how to pronounce this particular artist, but these and the first edition in the UK, of course, also had these drawings, and apparently you can go see, or these illustrations, and apparently you can go see them all at Dunsany Castle if you're in England. But these pictures are wild. They're really, really unique pictures. So yeah, this was an incredible find. I was really happy to get this. It is him creating a pantheon. So he's creating like an entire mythic pantheon for his fantasy universe. So it reads just like, say, Theogony by, oh, I forgot who did Theogony. Anyway, this early Greek mythic story of the creation and all the different gods. It reads just like that, but he made up all the gods. So yeah, this is something that I've wanted to read for a really long time, and I'm very, very glad to have it in a first American edition. So yeah, these two, I paid slightly bit more for this than I would have liked, and I paid way less for this than I should have. So together they really balanced out. Only 2 books I got from the book fair, but man, I am very happy to have them, and I really love them. All right. Anything else?
No, I think that's everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button. And make sure to subscribe if you want to see more like this. And have a great day.
Thank you for watching.